Alrighty, fellas. So here we go. Somebody had sent me this yesterday. We didn't get time to look at it yesterday, though. There's so many other fun topics to talk about. This is a video from Evie Lupine. I hope I'm saying that right. By the way, Lupin the Third, great anime. And it's called Blaire White, Liar or Just Lazy? Hey, maybe both. I don't know. Let's get it going.
Hello, everyone.
I'm going to turn myself down a little bit.
My name is Evie Lupine. Welcome back to my channel. And today I have another video for you all. Today, we are going back in time 2 years and reacting to Blaire White. I did not have this one.
Thank you, Nico, for the small gun re-up. 2 months, more like 12 plus. True, from the Twitch days.
On the docket, I had
the stream element still doesn't play. Alerts after like a 1 month sub. It's weird.
Whole other video planned, but at the last minute, last night at 9 p.m., I saw this and went, "Okay, we're gonna have to have a conversation about this." Now, my little puppy Bandolina Bandit is with us as well. So if you hear any like dog noises, it's not a ghost; it's my dog, and she will be helping us through this experience because this video is titled "Trans age is now a thing." Yes, really, and then the thumbnail says in quotes, "I identify as a toddler."
Well, trans age doesn't actually exist. I'm just letting you know, but okay.
And right away, I noticed, oh, I recognize one of those people in that thumbnail. Isn't that like the guy from the TLC show?
The guy
like
from
the
Fortnite.
one that really put, not trans age, but ABDL on the map over a decade ago now at this point, I think. What's going on there exactly? So we're going to watch this, we're going to break it down, and we're going to look for two really important things. One, does anyone in this video identify as being trans age, as Blaire claims in the title?
Yeah, it's probably clickbait. I mean, she's going to play the video, but trans age does not exist, obviously, at all. You know, yeah. I mean, listen, if there, not for nothing, if there was like a legitimately observed thing, then we could have that conversation, but there's not. There's people that are, there's like a very select few people who are frankly kind of delusional. I know you'd say, well, maybe that's people that are trans. It's such a different thing that's much more observed in such a wildly different capacity to be a transgender individual. You know, there's like a lot of like nuance there, obviously like a mixture of like hormones and different things that are going on in your body that, you know, frankly, I think you can make a strong argument that people are like born in the wrong body. Their brain chemistry is like different, generally speaking. There's hormone washing in the womb. There's a lot of stuff. So,
and does anyone actually say the phrase, "I identify as a toddler"?
Some people.
We'll see how that ends up going. Let's go ahead and get started with watching.
I think a lot of it's a weird fetish.
Kind of gives you permission to regress into a sort of headspace where you can feel a little safer. ABDL, it stands for Adult Baby Diaper Lover.
There's a lot of people.
Listen, if that's what you do in your private time with consenting adults, be my guest. The area where it gets weird to me is like when you talk about it publicly. Like, you should be embarrassed. Like, if I had a little weird thing where I wanted to pretend to be a baby, I would be embarrassed. Like, I wouldn't want to tell anybody. For all we know, I'm doing it right now. You don't. Maybe I am wearing a diaper, but I'd never tell you because that's weird. You know what I mean? Keep it to yourself.
People worried about their safety because I identify as a 6-year-old. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter.
I'm a full-time baby girl.
Daddy doesn't love his birthday so much.
Why do you guys do this to me? Literally, why? Welcome back to the 7th Circle of Hell, aka my channel.
All right, so first of all, we are off to a great start here. Gotta love the performative, oh my gosh, how could you people do this to me? Why is my life so hard? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. She's a little bit of a character, I guess, but so far, nothing really that big of a deal for Blaire.
I'm sure you blot your tears at night with the thousands of dollars you get in YouTube AdSense from these videos and your sponsorships. So, funnily enough, the very first person she shows in this intro montage to what trans age is about is at the event I was going to cover in the video I was planning to make instead of this one. This person is not a trans ageist. They are an ABDL. And you know where they're at?
Adult Baby Diaper Lover.
Folsom Street Fair, the largest...
Wow, these guys look kind of hot. Just kidding. That's a joke. Sorry.
Adult BDSM fair in not only the country, but I think the entire world. So interesting framing there. I guess assuming your audience isn't going to know what that is from. It is actually from an Andrew Callahan Channel 5 production that is mostly behind a paywall, but that clip...
Hey guys, we can't talk about Andrew Callahan anymore. Okay.
Is on their YouTube channel. So
I'll be the first to admit this is the weirdest thing. All the trappings around it. A lot of people confuse it for stuff it isn't.
I'm not sure who that second person is, but they do say, I identify as a 6-year-old, and we'll get into that in a minute.
Weird.
And then the last one is actually a woman from a 3-year-old Truly documentary, where one of the first things that is said is that they're in a daddy-dom little girl relationship, not being trans age. Blaire is framing it that way, but no one.
Well, so far we have the framing in the title. We have to see a little bit more of what she has to say. You know, to be honest with you, probably a little bit of clickbait. Like, it's not that big of a deal so far, but maybe it gets worse.
Has actually
What's up, guys?
said these words. And let's just go back in time a little bit to my original video on Blaire White and why I made that. So the first video I did on Blaire White, she was reacting to a single documentary video thing that was of a puppy player. That BDSM puppy play, not anything else besides that. And Blaire framed it as though this person was like a trans dog, I think, or like a trans animal, and that, you know, the title of that video that she was reacting to, and I think it was actually originally from Snapchat where she saw it, said like, I identify as a dog. And from what I remember of that person in that documentary not only responded to Blaire, but also never said that they literally identified as a dog. And at the time, I tried to be really charitable to
I do. I'm a dog. Yeah, okay.
Blaire, because I don't expect Blaire or anyone who's vanilla to know about BDSM terms or how to phrase things or what they mean, because obviously the term I identify has a lot of meaning for Blaire, and she is really worried about that being used outside of what she believes is the proper context. But just to rehash it right now, because I'm sure it'll come up, in the BDSM world, it is not uncommon for people to say, I identify as in, I identify as a submissive, or I identify with being a switch. It doesn't mean they literally believe they're like a cat trapped in human form, or a literal 6-year-old trapped in a 50-year-old body. For the most part, and I have literally met thousands of people that do BDSM at this point in this country, where I live, around the world, and I have never met anyone who would use the phrase I identify as in the way that Blaire seems to think that people do, where it means more like I identify as a bio dog, I'm a pet player because I literally believe I'm a dog and I am trapped in a human body. Now, unless somebody's a Therian, which is a different thing, I've never met anyone who has ever meant it that way. We simply use it as a way to indicate what roles and behaviors and activities we prefer.
So there has been a really disturbing surge in people asking me to discuss something very specific, something that actually took me a while to convince myself through an unfortunate few hours of research is actually a thing. And I've come to the conclusion it is a thing. Trans age. Because of course, why wouldn't trans age be a thing? With its own flag, its own TikTok influencers.
Yeah, I think the strongest argument you could probably make against Blaire White is that, like, it's a really weirdly subtle thing that she's doing here, where it's like Blaire White is trans, but she does the best that she can do to distance herself from being trans, to make her audience of people who are probably a little bit transphobic because they tend to be more conservative, to try to distance herself from like being trans so that they'll like her more in some capacity. She's still creating comfortable space for conservatives to look at trans people, but like she calls herself transsexual instead of transgender. She looks at everything that's like weird and goes, see, that's trans age, as like kind of a group together with like any other thing that's trans to make it like seem ridiculous. Some of the things she says are almost like somewhat invalidating of actual trans people because of that. I know it sounds a little bit weird and a little bit deep, but like I could see the general criticism from that. I think it's hard to call it out in a productive way, which is probably why, like, you know, people who agree with me already will be like, yeah, that makes sense. If you're a first time watcher, you'd hear what I said, be like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I understand, because you'd have to you'd have to really like look into it, or like really like look at like content like this for a while to kind of like get it. But it's hard to call out, and so when something's that hard to call out, sometimes it's not even necessarily productive to call out. But like as you watch her, you might understand a little bit more what I'm saying here and there. So thank you so much for the 2-month sub. I'm Trans Gut from Blue 2. Thank you. True.
Are you in a bad mood?
Its own Reddit page with thousands of members and testimonials. And the thing that all of these groups have in common, that super strong determination to latch itself. And the thing that all of these groups have in common, that super strong determination to latch itself onto the LGBT community, of course.
So let's talk about this trans age thing that Blaire convinced herself is actually a thing based on her research and what her followers told her. Because apparently she has no issue lumping together trans age, ABDL, CGL, DDLG, all of that other stuff into one horrifying mess in order to rage bait her followers. But from what I can tell, this is not the oncoming onslaught of doom that Blaire makes it out to be. That pride flag, the ever important ubiquitous pride flag, that is the cornerstone of any of these movements, according to Blaire. Yeah, I found the original. It's on DeviantArt. You guys want to know how popular it is? I bet you guys think it has like at least 10 comments, like hundreds of...
No, I imagine there's like nobody really latching onto it. So
of likes everywhere. It's all over the internet. It has 1 comment, 6 likes, and a total of 1,000 views over the course of almost 3 years of existing.
Wow. Sounds like a meme. Silly meme. I'm trying to make myself look like a farmer or something. With an eye patch.
Interesting. Well, let's go ahead and look at maybe some of the other social media platforms and see, okay, has this been shared? How popular is it? And we'll start with Tumblr because, you know, people like Blaire think that everything...
Yeah, so what the creator here is doing, and it makes sense for her to do it, she's trying to communicate that... that actually looks cool. She's trying to communicate that Blaire is making something like a mountain out of a molehill. Like, this isn't an actual real thing. It's a meme, and Blaire's trying to push the meme as if it's something that's widespread to make it seem like it's a bigger deal than it is. She effectively, Blaire is sensationalizing what's going on. That's the argument.
I think evil comes from Tumblr, so let's start with that. Well, it looks like the term trans age pride has about 10 total hits on all of Tumblr. I did not...
All 10 of them are me.
include trans age more generally because when you get into that in Tumblr...
True, though. I am a trans ageist. If you think about it, I constantly call myself a boomer, but I'm actually a millennial. I'm actually only 32.
Tumblr search, like the results are
like
not actually really related entirely to trans age stuff, so it's a little bit weird. But that one has, again, about 10 posts, mostly from one account that is basically a month old. So, all right, let's look at other social media. How about Twitter? Twitter, I think, is maybe the biggest place you will see people that use the term trans age. And on there are about 3 accounts that are all using the term trans age and would be more what I would call trans age influencers. There's 3 of them. Their accounts were made in November and December of this last year, so like 2 to 3 months old at the most. They have all put together barely over 1,000 followers total. Are we sensing a trend here? Are we sensing a mountain being made out of a molehill?
Well, in fact, we are not sensing a trend here. I think that's the point, right?
Potentially.
Papa got your sofa.
Now, when she gets over to TikTok, of course, TikTok is full of stuff, right? But the account she shows for being proof of trans age TikTok influencers, yeah, that's a little into a puppy. That's just a BDSM person as far as I can tell. And
with like no followers.
They're not like promoting this ideology or anything. They're mostly just like dancing around in a onesie or wearing
I hate them. Sorry. I don't particularly care for them. Incredible stuff.
a pup hood. Is that what it takes at this point? I don't know. But as far as I can tell, they don't use the term trans age in any of their TikToks, so not sure where she's getting off with that. And when you search for trans age on TikTok more generally, there are a lot of videos about it, but they're all being critical of the term trans age for the most part and are putting it down, the kind of thing I would assume Blaire would want to see more of. So, yeah, I'm not really getting the sense this is really a huge sweeping movement of, you know, tons of people in the LGBT plus community appropriating trans identity. I think Blaire is, once again, kind of padding the numbers on this one.
By the way, stay tuned for the Reddit reading portion of this video because, although I guess technically I did already know this was sort of a thing. If you recall years ago, I did a video on a freak named Stefankny who left his family of 7 children to live out his identity as a little 6-year-old girl to get adopted by new parents. And of course, what is the end goal of such a thing?
Incredible.
Spoiler alert, shocker, to play with other little girls, real little girls. Look at their memes.
Oh, I mean, if that's true, that's pretty gross. Is that even true, though?
We're all different on the inside.
Or are they trying to play with other people that also identify like as kids as like a weirdo? Okay, interesting.
Inside, hashtag trans age, hashtag age fluid, hashtag LGBTQIAP. I'm not even going to pretend to know what.
Not for nothing, but like memes like this that she's showing right now, these memes are usually pushed by trolls to try to like the map thing. That actually started from trolls creating this identity of like maps, and then it took on mainstream. Some people were using the term afterwards, but it started with like just trolls creating this like map identity and saying, see, and trying to put them in proximity to the LGBTQ community to actually try to be like invalidating of LGBTQ individuals. It's just some food for thought, to be honest with you.
what that is. Hashtag love is love. And it's like a grown man
Hashtag
reaching out to a
balls
little
are
boy
balls.
with a little girl inside of him.
Farmer. I like this transmog.
And getting right back on her misinformation train, Blaire is currently uncritically sharing a meme from a fake Twitter account called Clover Gender. This is actually older. It's not trans age. It's a whole different thing. And this whole thing, this meme in particular, was debunked by Snopes in 2017. That's a long time ago. And more than...
Clover Gender. What is a Clover Gender? The first thing that comes up is the Snopes article. Clover Gender. Oh, it's a pedophile thing.
That it wasn't just debunked, it was shown to be a purposeful 4chan psyop in order to bait people into thinking it was real and pissing off the SJWs and trolling people, and Blaire just uncritically entirely fell for it. And I don't know if that is a lack of research, if it is willfully misunderstanding something. Like, does she just uncritically believe whatever she sees is real, or does she just want it to be true so she can get mad at it, and that's what motivates her? I honestly don't know. But this is from 4chan. This is a psyop. This is not real. Okay, just to be clear.
One second, I'm actually going to call Chris Hansen.
More like Chris Hansen, all right?
I just remembered I really do have his number in my phone.
Weird.
You know what? I'm going to call Chris.
Why? You're fucking...
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Chris. I'm good. How are you?
I'm sure this wasn't planned at all. I'm just going to call Chris casually.
Awesome. Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well.
Chris Hansen sounds like a robot.
I am filming a video right now about trans agers, and I wanted to know your opinion. If you're cool with stating your opinion while I'm filming, we don't have to include it.
In terms of just...
like people who identify as kids so that they can like gain access to playing with kids and being around kids.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would say that's a good thing. Wow, this looks cool. What the fuck? I never even had this. What the hell?
Well, I think that, anybody who, tries to create the impression that they're younger when they're not to prey upon children, that's, horrifying and illegal. I mean, we see it all the time in our predator investigations where, these guys try to groom a child and gain their confidence, and this is just an extension of that, I believe. And so if they're doing that to gain the trust
a real thing.
of somebody who's underage for inappropriate reasons, that should be illegal.
100%. We can always count on you to bring
I agree. I think preschool teachers are fucking pedophiles.
Reason.
Hashtag
Chris.
Ew.
Well, I think anytime you have a situation where adults are, try to take advantage of children, that's why we do our jobs in the media. You do it, I do it, and it's what law enforcement does. I'm sitting in a police department right now in San Jose, about to do an interview on sextortion, where scam artists from half a world away are tricking children to sending sexually explicit photographs and using those photographs to throw money on them. And these kids
oh my gosh.
oftentimes committing suicide because of the shame and embarrassment. Good kids, straight-A students.
Oh my God.
Literally, as we speak, I'm about to sit down with the mother of one of those kids who took his own life because he was embarrassed. And it's a needless death.
Oh my gosh, that's tragic.
Anytime you have something where, adults are trying to trick kids online for nefarious purposes, they need to be held accountable.
100%. I don't want to keep you from doing this important work. Thank you so much for the blurb, and it's going to be in the video. Bye, Chris.
Okay, dear. Bye.
He called me dear.
Okay, so I honestly don't even know how to approach this. Like,
this is going to be my mount now.
Blaire White has contact with Chris Hansen of To Catch a Predator fame. He answers on the first ring. He's like, "Oh, Blaire White's calling. I gotta pick that up. I'm in San Jose. I got work to do. But Blaire, I'm here for my girl." And so she gets his opinion, but very carefully tailors it to be like, "Yeah, Chris, you're against adults grooming children, right? You're against people pretending to be kids to get access to kids, right?" And of course he's going to say, because any of us would say, yeah, if you are pretending to be a child or pretending to be anything in order to get close to a kid to harm them, that is bad. Of course, we all agree to that. That is not in any way controversial.
I pretend to be the friend of children, and then I get close to them and I trip them when I'm running. So, and I don't think what I'm doing is wrong at all. I actually think I'm doing a good thing. I think I'm doing a morally good and righteous thing. And I think that children deserve to be tripped. Because sometimes kids are assholes and they need to be humbled. Okay?
Controversial. But Blaire is inherently tying this phrase, and by extension of the people she is showing in this video, BDSM people, ABDLs, all of that, she is saying, okay, well, like, the people I've shown so far, right? Like, they're obviously groomers and they're trying to get the kids. It's awful, right? They're bad people. And Chris is just happy to go along with that. And, God, talk about an appeal to authority. I mean, yeah, that is some very...
sussy.
Wow. I just thought it like, wow, That's a lot. That's certainly a
little
far way to go
sussy.
to really, really reinforcing the exact narrative you want to make. And what is interesting is, again, everyone we have seen so far, except for like maybe one person, is a BDSMer, and the only one we have seen in a relationship is an adult woman in her 20s at least, in a relationship with an older man. So how does that track with people pretending to be kids?
Why I super chatted $9.99.
Hey, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Relationships with children, if the only example we have so far to support this is somebody dating an older adult and even they are.
I'll do the
Okay. And listen, I'm not going to pretend that I know what trans age stuff is about. I don't really get it. It seems to be a really, really small thing, at least so far at this point in time. And I have seen from their social media posts that they seem to...
You did it wrong. What did you want to say with the message? Can you check out Herbs and Altars anorexia fetish video? Maybe. I'll
align themselves with and support people that are transracial or trans-speciesist, if that's the way you say that. And that is certainly a problematic connection at the very least. But if the whole premise of this video is that people are trans in order to get close to kids so they can predate on them, okay, let's see if their social media does that. What do they do? What do they interact with that shows that that's what they're doing? Let's talk about it. And as far as I can tell, all of these accounts constantly post about how trans age kids should not date or be sexual with biological chrono kids, as they call them.
Sure. Listen, I think that the bigger issue, I mean, listen, I don't know if there are actually like people who are identifying as trans age to closer to children. I don't think it's necessarily relevant to prove that like anybody who's trans ageist, or if that is a thing, operates in a positive capacity. They don't have to, right? It's still bad. If they don't operate in a good capacity, then it's bad. It's more that the central argument is like, oh, Blaire White is over exaggerating the existence of people who are trans age in order to, just be kind of obnoxious. But like, I don't think that you have to. Sometimes I feel like we overcorrect. Like, you don't have to go above and beyond to try to defend like weirdos, frankly, that identifies kids, Even if they're not doing anything with kids, it's so weird. What are you doing? Why are you doing that? Probably have a trauma. I don't know.
Or chrono children. They are against that. They say it is explicitly abuse for a trans child, as in like a trans age child, to be around and be sexual or try to date a biological chrono child. So it seems like, from at least what they're posting on social media that I've seen, that we're all on the same page about using this to predate on kids being a bad and awful thing.
What the fuck is happening? What the fuck's happening here? Are you reacting to the video and just skipping through their ad instead of just literally skipping it? It's a little weird.
And we're just gonna skip over this whole sponsorship bit. I mean, it's kind of wild, actually, isn't it? Like, you can make a video that is bordering into defamation territory and still be fully monetized and have a sponsorship. What a wild time to be a creator, honestly.
So yeah, I guess technically I did know this was a thing, but color me optimistic because I had thought that was a one-off, right? Yeah, it was one like super weird individual, but that couldn't be like a community of people with like a movement. Spoiler alert, it is. Flash forward to 2023, and I regret to report to you that they have a flag. I also regret to report to you that I have learned what each of these colors represent. Are you ready? The orange is beings who are older than their time lived. Beings, though, it sounds like some like extraterrestrial type shit. Yellow, non-linear and otherwise non-traditional age identities. Non-linear age identities sounds like something you would think of when you're like stoned at 2 a.m. Like leaning over to your friend like, hey, like what if age is like not linear, Sure. White, opposition to oppression and systems that perpetuate it, including capitalism, gatekeeping, and things like ageism and age norms. Who else is shocked that being a commie is a prerequisite to being trans age? I'm very shocked.
So far, it's all just weird cringe.
Didn't see that one coming. Pink, beings that are younger than their time lived. Purple, age flux and age fluidity. Ew. So these people tend to seek out caretakers and relationship in which they can live out their baby fantasies. The words coming out of my mouth in this video, I can't. Because of course, a baby can't live alone. Duh.
What DDLG stands for is Daddy Dom, little girl. I'm her daddy, and she's my little girl, and I take care of her 24/7.
That's my little girl.
You would a child.
He's my dad.
Like I said, bro, like you do you, like do whatever you want, but why are you so bold as to talk about it in public? I mean, if I was into this shit, I would just not tell you. Yep, I'm the daddy. Yep, you know, when I was 14, I got a girl pregnant, and we never had the kid. We got an abortion, and it really upset me. So now I pretend that every girl I meet is a daughter that I should have had if I just kept her. Like, what the fuck is happening? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? It's weird to me.
Daddy, I'm my protector, and I need him.
Shit, we gotta get away from each other, bro.
Okay, but seriously, if we can talk real, because it's just you and me, can we just talk real? I get that everyone in this relationship is an adult.
Yeah.
But is it really that much of a stretch to be like...
Yes, whatever you're going to say.
Maybe these adults shouldn't ever be around kids, like ever. Like you're clearly fetishizing.
Yeah, it's probably a bit. I don't think that they would take it on to children just because they're fucking weirdos. You know, that I don't think that they would take it. I mean, I guess I don't know, but I don't think that like they actually want to fuck kids. Or else I imagine they would be fucking kids. Like, you know, could be wrong, I guess, but
infancy, childhood. And I mean, people say not to kink shame, but they also say not to bully. And look where that's gotten us. It's gotten us to trans babies. And of course, in the current culture, identity is king. You would think that all the comments on these videos are like negative or making fun of these people, but most of them are actually supportive. And saying you do you. And like, I get the whole you do you thing, but also there is something pretty sick about the fact that people have just this reflex to accept rather than to question. It's like accept first, maybe ask questions later. I
don't think that's even true remotely. I think, wrong way. I think most people's initial reflex is to like question everything. I don't think that most people are just like really nice doing whatever. There's some people who do that. I'm just saying, I don't think it's a big reflex.
They are sexualizing infancy. They are sexualizing being a toddler.
Yes, yeah.
It's not that complicated.
Okay, so first of all, Blaire, no one in this video said they were a trans baby. That you made that up. You said that. That's not even a thing. And
frankly, the reason why these people are into like the EDLGs probably has more to do with like their history with not having like a dad. Like all honesty, that's probably what, or not having like, in general, like people have like that. That's where these fetishes start. When you don't have a dad, like I think that like women, they tend to like want like somewhat of a father figure in the person that they're with, and then the men want, I don't know, somebody that they can redeem their father through. It's such a weird concept, you know. Like I don't even know how to explain it, but I feel like daddy issues manifest differently in different people. I don't necessarily think it has to do with like hurting children at all, but okay.
The fact that you are falsely connecting a consensual adult BDSM relationship with something entirely unrelated is just grasping at straws here. Just admit you couldn't find enough material to make this video to talk about trans ageism, so you were more than happy to take from other groups, other people, and then when that didn't really fully connect with your original prompt about trans ageism, you then went, well, I mean, they're also gross because they also dress up like kids and then they have a relationship as adults, so that's like really gross and bad too, right? Like, that's a separate conversation. And I know that people who believe that daddy doms and littles are dangerous and bad and should never be around kids are not going to change their mind. I have had this conversation so many times. But to be really clear, daddy doms and little girls or mommy doms and little boys or any combination they're in, they are consenting adults in a negotiated BDSM dynamic where...
I don't know. I wouldn't be saying those words. I don't know. Those are weird words. Daddy doms. Mommy mommy, though. That's pretty good. But, you know, I don't know. Little girl, little boys. It just sounds weird to me. I don't know.
Where they are aware of the roles that they are playing. And furthermore, there is no evidence that I have ever seen anywhere that shows these people are actually a danger to children. They are not trying to use being a kid as like a substitute for being with the real child. It's not a slippery slope thing. They're not attracted to children and just kind of trying to contain it. There's no evidence anywhere that shows that that is what is happening. Okay. And what I find really interesting is Blaire's like, oh my god, people just accept and then ask questions later. Blaire, did you ask any question? Did you try to find research? Did you go, I wonder what the literature actually shows about people that dress up like kids or have a fetish and are into ABDL? Like, what does that mean about them psychologically? You didn't do that. You just accepted what your world, what your side of the internet says is true, and then just regurgitated it back to your audience. And you know what? To be clear, I get being grossed out by DDLG. It's not my cup of tea. I'm in the BDSM community. I share lots of spaces with littles, and I have many of you in my audience. It's not my thing personally. It'll never be my kink. I had to make a whole video a couple years ago explaining that I'm not a little because people assumed that I was for some reason, and I had to clear that up. And, you know, again, it's not my kink, but I'm not going to kink shame people for whatever it is they're into. I know that kink shaming is like, it's basically the same thing as like snowflake or trigger at this point.
I think it's okay to kink shame some people. You know what I mean? Just have a little bit of fun at their expense. I just don't know why you would be like publicly telling people that you're a fucking little girl. Whatever.
But like, I'm not going to make fun of people because of their private, personal lives and what they find joy in. But being put off by something you don't understand doesn't make your feelings reality. And if you're not quite sure about the relationship between facts and feelings, Blaire, maybe ask your buddy Ben Shapiro about that one.
So let's see what the trans agers are up to on TikTok, because unfortunately, they actually have TikTok influencers. Here is one with over 70,000 followers. That's really fucked up.
Much, but what the fuck, dude? I guarantee you most people are like hate watching that person and following them because they're like fucking superior, like supreme cringe, honestly. Oh, this is like right on something. Holy moly.
Do y'all smell that shit? Oh my god.
Are you in a bad mood? Yeah. Can I have a kiss? No. Can I have a kiss?
No.
Why?
No.
Please, can I have one kiss?
No.
Fine. Do you want pizza?
Why is it so hard to get
Do you want pizza?
Age regression isn't just an aesthetic. It's also the impure craziness that being put into the mindset of a child brings. I'm crying because I got rid of all my stuffies except my favorite, and Squishmallows.
It just sounds like a woman moment. Crying because no Squishmallow.
Fathers, please stay in your children's lives.
Hey, buddy.
True.
Squidward.
Actual.
Free cleaning
True.
service? Census taker. Good day, kind sir. Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?
Was that Medea?
She shows a bunch of different TikTokers and then, you know, again says, oh my god, look at these trans age individuals, look how wild and nuts they are. And the first TikToker that she shows, that's not her saying she's a toddler, that's her using a TikTok sound. A TikTok sound that has over 10,000 videos associated with it. And you know what, I don't think that it's a good idea as a fetish, adult account of any kind to use children's sounds on TikTok or any media platform and then put yourself in that mix. Like, I think
well, yeah, if you're doing like a fetish, that's weird. But okay, sure, yeah, I agree with that.
Really distasteful. But at the same time, that's not the point that Blaire is trying to make with that. She's making a different point about how this proves this person is trans age. And in fact, this person actually already responded to Blaire when they saw that they were in Blaire's video.
So apparently I show up in this video. I'm not trans age. I'm an age regressor. It's a coping mechanism. You even talk about it in your video.
How did you pull this?
But that's what I am. I'm not trans age. So.
Well, okay. It's a trans age regressor. I suppose those are different, but it doesn't make you look any better. I'm not trans age. I am an age regressor. That's like, okay, well, you know, fair. I guess those two things are different, but I guess it's a little weird.
Oh, please correct yourself.
And then the second one we've already talked about. That's a little and a pet player, and they don't use the term trans age either. And then finally, the last two, as far as I can tell, they are both age regressors, not trans age. And for the record, both people that do age regression and people who are trans age say these are two different things. In fact, Blaire, I think in a moment in this, will talk about how age regression is not the same thing as being trans age. So she already knows there's a difference. She's just more than happy to throw them under the bus when it suits her. And listen, you know, Blaire, I don't get the age regression thing, all right? You know, I personally, this is my own personal opinion, I do not really understand age regression. I was around when the term was coming up on social media. I saw how people were making it, what accounts are making it. I have been on the internet for a hot minute at this point. And from what I remember, people started to use the term age regression on Instagram and on Tumblr mostly because it was minors who wanted the aesthetic of ABDL and DDLG, but they kept getting kicked out of BDSM spaces because BDSM is only for adults and we don't want to involve children. So they got kicked out, but they wanted to still be able to buy, you know, pacifiers and onesies and have a daddy and whatever. So then they created a new term and kept most of the shops and labels and other terminology, and it's gotten very confusing. And I don't agree with, for example, I think one of these people labeled things as like safe for work age regression, and I don't really think that that's a thing. And I've talked about that, I think, in a video a long time ago. Yeah, different conversation, not the one we're having, because again, these are supposed to be trans age TikToks, and none of them are trans age TikToks. You really couldn't find anything, could you, Blaire?
But, you know, to really dive into the mindset of the trans age individual, you really have to go to their Reddit page, because that's where you get the real tea. This Reddit, Never Grew Up, has 6,000 members.
Okay.
Reminder for birthdays.
It's not really that many, honestly. I think from a social media, it's still weird, but like from depending on what they say, especially from like a social media perspective, you're gonna always find like groups of fucking weirdos, honestly. Like that's kind of the whole thing, is that social media allows a bunch of people to get together and be like, oh my god, I have friends, even though they're like fucking weirdos and losers. Okay, you know, that's why they have like really robust Power Ranger communities. It's fucking bizarre, you know, but it is what it is, man.
You can turn whatever age you want on your birthday. How is this not a troll? You cannot celebrate birthdays at all. I'm about there. I'm 29, but so I get that. You can celebrate the anniversary of your longest streak of avoiding dying. You can celebrate like normal. Do whatever makes you comfortable. I feel so cute and small, and I'm so happy the dress and leggings are also kids' clothes. This person asks, any luck with therapy? For those of you who do therapy, counseling, other support, have you mentioned anything about your age dysphoria? Something tells me age dysphoria isn't a real thing. Let's Google this.
A few moments later.
It kind of probably is like a real thing. Age dysphoria is probably just people who get upset as they get older. That doesn't mean that the solution to age dysphoria is to identify as somebody younger, because the inevitability of your death is very real. You know, there's probably better mental health ways to like understand, like, yeah, you're gonna pass away. It's a scary thought. As you get older and you realize mortality more, your perspective on the world will change. But it's just a very natural thing. I try to focus on just, you know, it is what it is. You know, the rest of my years, I should have at least another 30 in me. So, but just because you might call it age dysphoria doesn't mean it's like gender dysphoria. A completely different thing. Hey, what's going on, Sassy Baka? So
age dysphoria is not a real clinical diagnosis. Yeah, get it together and stop trying to
somebody in the chat said age dysphoria is a thing. Just ask Stefano. It's true. Very true.
On the trans bandwagon, it's just not going to happen.
So something that Blaire does a lot in this video, but especially right now during this Reddit section, is she very carefully crops everything that she puts on screen. And it's not necessarily because she wants it to like fit better on the screen or whatever. It's not because she is trying to avoid showing identifying information or usernames or faces or anything else. No, we don't care about inciting harassment. It's because she doesn't want you to know how much engagement these things actually get, because knowing that would undermine her actual point. So I went on Reddit. I found all of these posts for the most part.
Oh, you went on Reddit.
Want to know how much engagement these things got?
No.
You know, sit down. It's going to blow your mind, all right? Okay, strap in.
Probably not a lot.
So the first one had 37 upvotes and 9 comments.
Updudes.
The second
That's what
one
they call
I couldn't
them,
even
right?
find, but I found a similar post from that same user, and that one had 41 upvotes and 6 comments. The last one, a whopping
Trillion.
19 upvotes.
Damn, just kidding.
19. Wow, we are really basing a whole video thesis on 19 upvotes on Reddit. That is just something else. You know what?
These fixes are
Let's
kinda
talk about
easy
the
today.
DSM for a second, because Blaire is, as far as I'm aware, a trans medicalist. She is very invested in clinical diagnoses for things and basically only validates trans existence based on whether or not you fit into certain clinical criteria. And the DSM is a living book, if you will. It is updated on a regular basis thanks to clinician experience and also ongoing research. So it is not set in stone that any one thing will continue to be or won't be in the DSM at any given time. Actually, in that post that she shares, the person also mentions CPTSD, which is not currently in the DSM. It is in the ICD-11, but it is not in the DSM as a diagnosable thing. Because you know what? Not everything you go to therapy for is in the DSM. I would say, based on my knowledge of people I know that work in this field.
Yeah, I go to therapy for my huge testicles. Yeah, I have mental health issues associated with how large my balls are, and women just won't stop ogling me. I know you won't understand. The men won't understand here, and the women won't care. But realistically speaking, women love balls in the same way that men love tits. And so, like, women will constantly objectify me and be like, wow, nice, huge package. And it's just distressing to me mentally. So, like, that's what I have. That's the problem. That's my struggle. That's my fight that I fight every day. And some men will understand, but very few of you will, you know, because it's not easy being cheesy, man. You know, it's just it's a sad world. You know, and it hurts my back. I gotta carry around these fucking Goliaths everywhere, man. Gotta carry these big old fucking things around. Boom, boom, boom. And then women expect me to have a huge dick, and it's just average. And that's being generous, frankly. Sad stuff, man. Sad stuff, you know? Hey, thank you for the
Cobra
small guy.
Stalin became a member.
Thank you for the Small good. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers, guys, please. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. Your thoughts and prayers, okay?
That for the most part, clinicians treat the DSM more as a diagnostic tool initially to make sure that you're going to be like a fair client fit, that you kind of know how to deal with what their issues vaguely are, and also for the sake of billing insurance, because America, yay, insurance is awesome. Mental.
Okay, like listen, I'm woke too. Universal healthcare, blah blah blah, but it's not just for insurance. It's to make sure that there's a proper diagnosis so that you're actually treating somebody for something that they legitimately have. The reason we have diagnoses isn't for insurance purposes. The reason we have specific diagnoses is so we can categorize people and help them get the help that they need. I just feel like that was like a weird criticism. But okay, whatever.
Healthcare always gets covered. No, it doesn't.
I mean, if you want to get deep into it, there are times that some mental health professionals will diagnose somebody with something different if the treatment path is what they need, just because it might be easier to get like a diagnosis in some capacity or easier to help to get the person the help they need. That's something that maybe you could criticize. Oh, I gotta run away. Balls. Maybe you can criticize them for that. Oh, there's a thing right here. But
Cobra Starling super chatted 99
Hey,
cents.
thanks, brother. I don't know if you wanted a message and you couldn't attach it to it. Just let me know and I'll read it out loud.
On another level of it, besides just that, most clinicians that I am aware of don't really like stick closely to like making sure you're fitting into one narrow box when you're in their office. Like, they're not going like, well, you know what? Thank you for coming in today, but your issues don't fit into any one of these discrete categories, so I can help you. Get out of my office. That's not how it works. And therapy isn't, and this will maybe be a surprise to Blaire, a game you play in order to squeeze yourself into little tiny diagnostic boxes. That is not what therapy is about. Most therapists are more concerned with treating the patient in front of them than making sure that they are perfectly representative of like OCD or something. That's just not how practical everyday mental health works, okay, Blaire? All right, just want to make sure we're on the same page about that.
Here's the thing though, age regression is indeed a thing, and it actually is recognized by the medical community. It's actually a trauma response.
What the fuck? Why did I get sucked in on top of the
condition for children, keyword temporary, and it can be a keyword children, real children, and it can be a coping mechanism for stress and untreated trauma in adults. Examples of aggressive behaviors include baby talk, thumb sucking, and temper tantrums. These behaviors can be voluntary or involuntary. So there's a few key words in there, right? Temporary, that's one. You're not supposed to live in a trauma response. I know TikTok and Tumblr has people thinking that it's okay to just like exist in this traumatized space and they don't have to actually work through their problems. They can just get on a bunch of pills and just stay through their problem. You're not supposed to live in that. And this is something far more normal in children. In fact, it's debated.
I just want to be like I think the point she's trying to make is that you're not supposed to do this in a long-term capacity or you're a bad person, but that's not really how these things work. Usually people will develop particular methodologies, and not for nothing, pretending you're a fucking baby to, let's say, for instance, you pretend you're 6 years old because you were like fucking violently molested when you were 6 years old. It's not an inherently bad thing to pretend that you're 6 years old as long as it's not affecting your day-to-day life. So the treatment method wouldn't be like, stop doing this thing, unless that thing's getting in the way of their life. So if they're going home and they're having controlled regressive states due to like an insane trauma with them being fucking molested when they were younger, that wouldn't be something that would be considered a bad thing. They'd actually be acting in the right capacity. I don't like, listen, I know I see it every stream. My wife is a behavioral specialist for adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Like, we talk about stuff like this in general. It's just like, you don't really know what you're talking about in general, Blaire. I think that what you're trying to focus on are the wrong things. It's a lot of wording to try to put as much responsibility onto like the person who in this case is actually a victim of a past trauma, rather than like, you know, having the actual conversation about it. I get that it's content for Blaire, but like, you should probably try to stay away from like an understanding of like diagnoses for mental health things, because you don't really know what the fuck you're talking about. I know you have gender dysphoria, but like it's clearly outside of your element when it comes to robust understanding these topics. This fucking Hunter dies every fucking boss. Holy fuck.
If it even really truly happens in adults at all, at least to the capacity for which these people are saying that they are mentally like 6 years old. Like, what? And even if it's a real trauma response for some of these people, for most of them, it just appears to be a fetish. You don't get to
You don't really know that. It's weird that they're announcing it publicly. So that's where I go. Like, why are you announcing it publicly? Like, it's really bizarre that you're doing that. I think that's reasonable. But like, it seems like for instance, the guy in the kid, the person that acts like a little fucking 6-year-old, like that person's weird, but they have like a DDLG relationship, and I would imagine it doesn't get in the way of their ability to live a day-to-day life. So
fetishize infancy. You don't get to fetishize being a child and not get dragged by it. At least by me, you're gonna end up in a Blaire White video. Like, it is what it is. Okay. You want to be a trans baby, you're gonna end up in a Blaire White video. Sorry.
And all right, on the age regression, age reg thing, we've kind of already shared my thoughts about it. I am skeptical of how it is oftentimes presented, because you do get people who say that what they're doing is age regression, but then they've got a onesie on and a tutu and a binky, and then they've got a whole power exchange relationship that's like a caregiver little thing, complete with rules and punishments. And then they don't want to say that what they're doing is BDSM because they're embarrassed or something about it, I guess. And they go, no, I am doing safer work age regression. This is not BDSM. BDSM is bad and gross. And it's like,
I think it's more that they don't want to put what they're doing in proximity of sex, because then people are going to think that they're pedophiles. I think it has less to do with not wanting to attach themselves to BDSM, because BDSM is bad, and more to do with they don't want to attach themselves to sexualization, because people, from their perspective, will misunderstand and actually think that they want to fuck kids, even though they're in a consenting adult relationship. Just one of them is pretending to be a fucking child. Okay,
if the shoe fits, all right? I don't know. All right, that's my opinion. I'm sure there's other ways of doing age regression that is not as aesthetically focused or similar to BDSM. I am not as familiar with that because it does not get talked about as much on social media. But yeah, age regression, it's a whole other can of worms. And more importantly, it's
worms.
Not being trans age, as we have already established.
I like worms. Back to the Reddit, the hot topic of the day is toddler bed alternatives. This person writes, okay, for right now, I identify as 3 to 5 in feeling, not cognitively. I'm definitely my body age cognitively. My family says I am smarter than the average 18-year-old. Okay. So let me get this right. You are your age cognitively. You're objectively your age physically because you have to be. So where does the identifying as a 3 to 6-year-old come in? Like, at least with transsexuals, there's an argument that they cognitively operate as the opposite sex. Like, at least with transsexuals who have had brain scans and are diagnosed with gender dysphoria, there's an argument there about, well, at least cognitively, they are the sex that they wish they could be. This, it's like, so you're not physically and you're not cognitively? I don't understand. This person writes, one of the worst things about being seen as an adult and aging in general is that your accomplishments become less impressive. Graduate college at 16, you're a genius. Graduate at 25 like me, whatever, nothing special.
Yeah, it's kind of the par for the course. I will say, though, that there's a conversation to be had about, from like a family perspective, praising people for doing what's expected of them. I know that sounds silly, but it feels really good when, like, my wife comes home and says, thank you for putting out the garbage. That is expected of me, but it's a nice thing that my wife does. It feels really nice for my wife when I say, thank you so much for cooking us dinner. Like, your family should be like, you got through college. Like, yes, you're supposed to. But you should be like, that's awesome. Like, good for you. Make people feel good about accomplishments. You know what I mean? That's like a separate conversation to have. But I'm just saying it's not a bad thing. You know, just because it's expected of somebody doesn't mean that you can't give them a little compliment. You know, like, I would expect at the end of this for people to be like, wow, you did such a great job tanking. You're the best tank. Because, you know, I know it's expected of me, but, you know, obviously I want a little bit of praise. No, but it's a nice feeling. Though society doesn't need to give you that praise. That would be silly. But, like, your loved ones can give you the praise for those things. It makes me feel nice when I do the dishes and my wife says, thank you so much, husband. That's what she'll say to me. I like it. You know, it makes me feel good about myself. That's the whole point of having one of the many reasons to have a partner is for them to make you feel better about yourself or feel good about yourself. So
you're actually behind the standard schedule. Publish a book as a young child. Wowzer. Wow. Who is this wonder kid? Publish a kid as a 30-year-old grown woman, as likely will be the case with me. At least you're admitting it. Whatever. People do that all the time. Well, one of the things you should probably work on as your development as a grown woman that you admit that you are is usually as you get older, your desire to impress others decreases. I know I'm about to be 30. I could care less about impressing anyone. I could care less about getting approval from anyone. So it sounds like you're a little stunted in that department.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Your desire to impress others goes away. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I agree with that. I like to impress my wife. Like, it makes me feel good to impress my wife. I don't know. Maybe I'm different. I'm supposed to be impressing. Like, as you get older, you understand that, like, society's not going to be impressed with, like, with the basic shit that you're doing, right? Oh, fuck my mom's balls. Oh, fuck. Right? That's one thing. Jesus Christ.
They would is getting lumped into a trans age conversation. What did they do exactly, Blaire? What crime did they commit? This thing has 10 replies to it. This is not a movement. This is not like this big thing she's making it out to be. It is somebody saying, hey, when I was younger, I got recognized more. If I would have done things younger, I would have gotten recognized more. But now, because I'm an adult, it's just expected. And yeah, being an adult can be a thankless thing. In your relationships, with your family, like, people just go, oh, okay, yeah, well, you were supposed to do that. You're supposed to graduate. You're supposed to get this job and do that and the other.
Kill this fucking thing. I swear to God.
I get why that might be hurtful to people. But this is not related to being trans age. This is a separate thing that Blaire has put in this video. I don't know, to make the minimum length of video required for her Raycon sponsorship. I honestly, that's my only possible guess. And well, that is actually the end of the video.
I don't think that they care about the length of the video. They just care about the length of the advertisement. Hey, we got it. +2. That was pretty good. Okay.
And that was a ride. That was a hot mess, wasn't it? Because in a misguided attempt to discredit a movement of people that is not really a movement, Blaire was more than happy to throw BDSM, CGL, ABDL, age regression, all of that just entirely under the bus, assuming no one in her audience would ever fact check her, know who these people are, or do any of their own research, let alone be able to tell the difference. Even looping in Chris Hansen to seal the deal on this all being a legitimate, fair, accurate opinion of these people. She is framing these people, she has shown in this video, to not only believe things about themselves they don't actually believe, but also that they are a danger to children and committing a crime, potentially, with no evidence. Or at least insinuating that is their ultimate goal. That is just on a whole different level. You know what, Blaire? Not everyone in a onesie, not everyone that has a pacifier clip or collects stuffies is your enemy, okay? It's not that deep. It's really not that deep. And I would be more than happy to sit here and explain to Blaire how caregiver little or daddy dom little girl relationships are consensual, negotiated BDSM relationships between adults that know what they're doing and it's very aware, and how it's not a slippery slope, or how ABDL is a really widely recognized fetish community again of adults, and no one in any of these spaces is using it to try to get to children to prey on them. It is not about...
I'll tell you one thing. Christians, they're trying to do it to pray. They're trying to get to prey on children, right? They're trying to get children to pray to Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, all right? And I don't think it's problematic. We need more Jesus Christ in the classroom.
Trying to hurt actual
Daddy
children.
Dom.
It is adults doing their own thing in their own...
Bro, just saying those words is like really hurting the message. I feel like people are just kind of weirded out by
consensual relationships. But you know what? Again, I don't think that would really do anything, because Blaire came into this video wanting to make a very particular point, which is trans age people are scary and bad and taking over the internet, and when she couldn't find enough actual trans age people to, basically pounce on, she was more than happy to go, okay, well now there's so much close enough, bring it into it's also gross, and we'll talk about that instead. And then when they didn't actually say or do the things that she wanted them to say or do, she found other problems in what they did actually say or do, and then just rinse and repeat that for like 14 minutes. Like, wow, I don't even think... So for the record, in this video, no one said that they were trans age, and no one said
this thing is huge.
that they identify as a toddler. There was one person who had a popular TikTok sound that said that, I'm a toddler in it, but it wasn't them saying it, it was like a meme. It was a meme. Does Blaire know what a meme is? There was an age play meme that happened, and then there was one person at the very beginning who said, I identify as a 6-year-old, and that was the closest we got to what Blaire quoted on her thumbnail. But she doesn't actually seem to care what the truth is. And you know what? 2 years ago,
You like the "you are the reason" meme? I'll try to get it back on.
I really had some hope that Blaire would change and be better. She had to do a whole apology video, and I thought that she would do more research and be more careful with her allegations against people. And she's not done that. It was one thing when it was
Blaire,
one person, it was
doing?
like one documentary she was reacting to, and I could see that as maybe being a misunderstanding or not being informed.
I can't believe
she had to go and find these people. She had to find them and get screenshots and download their TikTok videos. And did you not see any of them?
In Blaire's defense, it can be difficult to find topics for content, and so that's why I just watch other people's content. Boom, done. The greatest job that's ever been created. Okay, it's incredible stuff.
Profiles, any of their other videos, anything else they had said? Were you that willing to misrepresent what people say about themselves? Honestly, though, and maybe she has a team, maybe just let her followers send her, in which case, why are you being more critical of your work? Don't you want to be proud of what you say and do? Don't you want it to be accurate? Like, I think there is certainly room to critique trans age as an ideology or as a potential upcoming movement like transracialism. I think that is something that you could have a proper conversation about. And that's not what this is. And I have to wonder, does Blaire know she's lying? Is she okay with lying?
Well, if she knows she's lying, then that would be a yes. But if maybe she's not lying, maybe it's a misconception. Did I really not do anything last week on my druid? Damn, what a frick.
Much all the time to put other people down, to put herself up over those other people. How do you sleep at night, Blaire? Knowing that what you say
Yeah,
about
Blaire, how do you sleep at night? Do you sleep naked? Roof?
these people is so wrong, and you are more than happy to throw them under the bus in front of 300,000 plus people. Do you feel anything at all? Do you feel shame, guilt? Or do you just wipe away those tears with your smackaroos you get from your Raycon sponsorships?
Personally, I like to put my tears into a baby bottle and drink them because I'm an age regressor.
Your YouTube AdSense. Is it worth it? I hope so. It would give me a really guilty conscience, and I don't think I could live with myself, honestly, doing that.
Damn, that's deep.
Those are my thoughts.
I
Those
don't
are my
think it's that
opinions,
deep,
y'all.
though.
I hope that I was able to break this down because I am so tired of people just lying about people so much and inferring things that aren't actually there and making so many assumptions. And at this point, it is just willful and just wanting to be mean to people without any actual evidence
I love
to
being
back
mean
it up.
to people all the time.
You know, that's how it is. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in a comment down below. Let me know. Do you guys know any of these TikTokers? Any of these?
Oh, I guess Blaire White was sued. Oh, is that what happened?
Why? Hi, my name's Eli. We're suing Blaire White. Here's why. Hi, my name's Eli. I'm a writer, activist, and graduate student. I'm also a trans woman and the subject of one of Blaire White's latest videos. If you're here, you probably already know who Blaire White is. She's the notorious trans YouTuber that promotes far-right conspiracy theories and chronically defames trans people. Her videos have caused immense harm to our communities, and I think it's time we start pushing back. That's why we want to turn Blaire White into the next Alex Jones. Since she started making videos in 2015, Blaire has sold out her own community for brand deals and celebrity among far-right.
Hey, listen, established titles. Come on, guys. By the way, this video is brought to you by Established Titles. Pretend that you're buying a piece of Irish land. Call yourself a lord or a lady. It's 2023. Pronouns don't matter. I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around.
More recently, she's made a huge profit in her series of video attacks on trans teachers, parents, and children. Actual children. The more outrageous her videos are, the more she stands to earn from them. Blaire's videos have caused mass harassment campaigns against vulnerable people all over the world. I personally received hundreds of harassing comments, misgendering messages, and straight-up death threats since she made her video against me. But this isn't just about me, and this isn't just about Blaire either. Far-right commentators like Blaire feel that they're free to lie and defame queer and trans people without any repercussions. Trans teachers are being fired from their jobs. Trans teens are losing health care. And trans parents are having their children taken away. In the past...
I mean, if trans parents are having a problem, maybe just turn your opacity up. That is funny. Yeah, that's funny.
Blaire has acknowledged that she's defamed trans people. However, none of us have tried to take her to court before. So, we're going to change that. In Blaire's video against me, she's made dozens of false statements, ranging from rape to pedophilia to manslaughter.
All right, this is a long video. Yeah, Blaire's getting sued. Okay.
People.
I think we're good. I guess I can finish this video. It's only like a minute left.
Have you interacted with them? Do you know anything about trans age? Are you a little? What do you think about this? No. I would love to know all your thoughts, all your feelings again in a comment down below. If you enjoyed this, if you've not already, please do subscribe because we, my little dog and I, make videos twice a week with all sorts of different subject materials, BDSM stuff, asexuality, alternative relationships, all of that. So please do subscribe if you have not already because I make videos twice a week about all of that stuff. And finally, if you want to support what I do, the best way you can do that is with Patreon. A link to that will be down below. If you do already support me there, thank you so much. It means the absolute world to me. And until I see you all next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day and a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.
Okay. Well, interesting video. Toodaloo! Sorry. That was a little weird.
I want Papa Gut to pee on my face, but just as a friend. There's nothing weird about that. I want him to pee on my face.